JDG themselves take away the Nico and the Poppy. No first pick Nico here this time around.
The JDG on the blue side, what is their priority here? Aurora has yet to be banned or even looked at in this series so far, and that has been a powerful champion in the hands of some of our other LPL mid laners in the league. Maybe it's something that they look at here.
Could be Talia. We've been seeing a large priority for JDG in series prior about getting Scout his mid matchup on blue side. So we see instead of the Talia, it is the Annie. Very easy to play. Less about backline, more about let's just try to get some burst down. Let's try to set up our team for success here. EDG, what is the response? I think the Wukong ban is quite interesting because to me it kind of says we're looking towards a Xin Zhao or a Vi here in this draft. Maybe something a little bit different, especially. You know, there is no Jarvan anymore, so Trundle could be a bit more interesting.
Well, the Talia is secured here for EDG, but JDG opting in for the Annie could be combined with a powerful carry jungler for Xun. Now, normally, as you called out, it's paired with the Wukong, but it was already banned by EDG in this first ban phase. So other jungle carry picks that have been often linked with Annie in the past, things like the Nefiri, maybe an assassin jungler like Zed if Xun is feeling up for it. We know that he pulled out a Kindred in their prior series. Kiana! It's Xun's time to pull out the Master of the Elements.
All right, and we get the topside matchup. Renekton blind here from ZDZ into the Cassante. So already I think we're getting the makings of a composition here where EDG are going to look to muscle their way in from side lanes and then move in towards objective with the Talia especially. It'll be important to see how EDG play around their mid laner in the mid game to help him get to objectives, let him use that Weaver's Wall and connect in with fights. And now to see what the last pick of this first round of the draft, it's going to be grabbing that Alistar. I think very important here to get Parukia an engaged champion and something that I think gets a little bit more value when you're playing into an Annie and a Cassante.
I mean, when you consider Parukia, his hero being Mako, when he first started watching Pro League of Legends in 2015, the EDG MSI run, Mako on that lineup. His best champion is Alistar, and Parukia has been able to at least live up to that model with some exemplary Alistar play in Split 3 in the Group Nirvana. Now, Rakan is banned from JDG. Gonna try to do maybe one more support ban to diminish what potential engage tools JDG can look for.
You might also just be looking towards AD carry, honestly. Just limit what Peyz can get access to. Sivir is now getting banned. We've seen Varus completely drop off. So, in terms of what's up next, I feel like On can take away an AD carry matchup for what he is essentially going to be blinding. And then they can have a little bit more options. It's either that or we're going to be going for jungle, right? And looking at Xiaohao's pool, you still have Xin Zhao here versus the Kiana. Personally, I would actually like to ask for what your opinions are. Like, what are some champions you think Xiaohao could bring out here in this game?
Well, here's the thing. Kiana farms pretty darn fast thanks to the jungle buffs that Riot has blessed her with on this patch. So, either you can match assassin for assassin with Zed if you feel confident enough, but I think because you already have a Talia and a Renekton setup, you might as well just go for the Xin instead and just play for, not like guaranteed engage, but just you're trying to play for the team fights and try to find some value with that Crescent Guard in order to create space. The Peyz or the Kaisa lock-in for On does mean that EDG are going to look for a dive comp, so if a 5th pick jungler is in the cards here for Xiaohao, maybe Nocturne could be an angle if you just want to full send it on the dive.
I wonder, because I think this draft from EDG can be very flexible in how it plays. JDG kind of have an all-around comp. It doesn't necessarily excel at like one thing quite yet. I think a Kiana and an Annie do kind of say that we're trying to burst multiple members, and EDG are quite low range. So for a Kiana, that Supreme Display talent is going to get a lot of extra effort there. And with the setup that they now have, I think this is hard to execute from JDG's composition. This requires our mid-jungle to be working incredibly well. We don't have any typical ways of finding engages. Braum is only going to be a stopgap measure versus the enemy team. So now from EDG's perspective, honestly, what I would actually like to see from them, Mark, is some kind of pivot that allows them to stop JDG from walking forward, Trundle, I think the pillar there gets a ton of value. I know we've been talking about a little bit there, but ends up being the Xin Zhao. You can go for a dive in this, but honestly, Raafaa, you just need to survive. If you can just take one spell at a time from JDG, you are in a huge advantage.
Yeah, I think the Braum support kind of locked it in for EDG to not full send on the dive composition identity, because if you mess up, Winter's Bite and the concussive blows can really punish over-aggressive plays by EDG. Xin Zhao can dive, he can play back, he can peel off threats. He's very flexible. That's why he's one of the best junglers in the meta right now, because he can be put in a variety of comp identities. Now, EDG, as you called out before, they can go forwards, they can go backwards here, but when you're looking at the scaling factor, what really pops out to you as a timer here? Are any teams threatened later the game goes on?
I think JDG need to be a bit worried about the shot clock here on this game, because Qiyana can be very, very potent if she can scale, and if Xun can be really, really dedicated to his jungle camps, making sure that he's hitting his timers, getting his gold, making sure that he's getting breakpoints, but it's all about that first engage, the Annie ultimate. Afterwards, has to cycle a couple spells before she gets a stun. Even the Lucian has to go through a couple of rotations of spells to really break this front line here. So JDG, they need to play early, they need to play the lane, and I don't think I've necessarily seen that from not just the top side, but from Peyz and Zhuo especially. I don't think they have it really on lock, and that'll be up to them to really dedicate themselves and see if they can get this team off to a running.
Yeah, we haven't really seen pure lane dominance from Peyz and Zhuo yet, but if it does show up here in Game 2, it could be the turning point and at least give them a chance to even up the series. It's Game 2 between JDG and EDG.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
That's exactly what I want to see, though. When we're playing Lucian Braum, Peyz also hasn't even put an ability point in yet, but I imagine it is going to be that Ardent Blaze W, giving you that movement speed and the ability to almost instantaneously proc that Winter's Bite coming in from Zhuo. So what I want to focus on here, Raafaa, for these two teams, and for JDG in particular, need to see early lane dominance and watch how the jungle is moving, because this is going to be an electrocute Qiyana. We've seen some different variations between what keystones we're getting from them.
Early on, it was the Conqueror setup for a majority of our Qiyana players, opting in for the Eclipse and the overall ability haste build with things like Shojin and Black Cleaver. But recently, our LPL Qiyana enthusiasts, especially Tien and Kanavi, and even Beichuan as well, who joined the fray, are now opting into the full assassin builds. The buffs on Profane Hydra being a little bit cheaper gives you a stronger spike, overall better clear in the jungle, and then it leads you into the Axiom Arc, which gives you more uptime on that Supreme Display of Talent, which is such a long cooldown.
I think teams are also just recognizing that there's a lot of fighting in this game, especially early on, before Otacon spawns and the like, so there is a fight almost every 5 minutes, and things like the Profane Hydra, as well as that Axiom Arc that you were mentioning, really give you a lot of power if there's multiple skirmishes. JDG are going to hit level 2 first here. We'll be looking to find it as an early headbutt coming in onto Parukia, but not able to do all that much. And junglers are actually going for opposite. Shun's going to take an early reset here just to grab a longsword. I imagine it's just going to be single longsword and then rush into top side and pray that Xin Zhao is not invading him early.
Interesting. They do have the ward early onto Shun's blue quadrant, so they know that he's not at his blue buff quite yet. So they imagine that they know that he started on his red side, but with an extra longsword, maybe it's Shun adapting to the fact that Xiaohao has become known for forcing these invades, having that extra stat advantage, and the control ward blocks out the vision. Xiaohao now knows, oh snap, this guy took an early base. I'm no longer going for the invade.
Two things I want to note there. One, ZDZ did have Cryo, so he would have been able to move if he really wanted to, but that right there is a rune diff there from Shun. He actually had the rune that allows you to see wards that are within a certain proximity of you, so he knows there's a ward on his blue buff there. Puts down the control ward and might even find himself first blood.
Level 3 he missed the root. Okay, wrap it up.
Wrap it up, boys. Wrap it up.
Sometimes you don't hit all the gank timers here. They at least force ZDZ off the wave, and Shun knows it's okay. We still have a full game 2 to play out. He's able to pick up the Scuttle Crab and will return to his blue buff quadrant. But for ZDZ right there, that was a pro diff in being able to avoid what could have been a deadly gank. And for those at home, if you want to get some pro diff for yourselves in your solo queue games, use the code LPL10 to save 10% on a one-on-one with a former or current pro from the LTA, ERLs, or the NACL, and schedule it today.
Least forced pro diff ad that we've had today.
Listen, man. Doing what I can.
I know. Look, that read, Raafaa, it puts the lights on in front of us. So thank you. And again, check out LPL 10. Helps us out especially. So all things considered, we got another lane swap and not much doing. I think On does need to be a little careful here.
Well, Peyz getting stunned up by Parukia's Alistar at least saves the trade from going awry for EDG's bot lane. Multiple summoner spells were burned, both heals from Parukia and Jewel respectively. The top lane side of things looking a little volatile here. Xiaohao is going to show up. No answer from Shun since he's on the bottom side. Flash! Headbutt from Parukia sets it up. Jewel can escape, and EDG pick up first blood.
And the laning phase was the big question. Like, in that fight alone, we're getting damage onto Parukia, but we're doing no damage onto On. Peyz is trying to trade for him, but that was 2 full plasma procs and the lethal tempo going over to Kaisa. They grab that kill onto Zhuo, so this will be another wave that they'll be able to crash from EDG's side. And this is exactly the problem that I saw from this draft. Was Zhuo and Peyz really going to be on the same page? Because we haven't seen them play particularly amazing in the laning phase all throughout Split 3, so they've been more of a duo that is, okay, we're going to get through lane, Peyz is most likely going to be by himself a lot of the time, and we're going to come into mid-game and just hope that our big AD carry is going to be able to carry.
And if you're picking Lucian Braum and you're not winning the laning phase, then that's a big strength, just going to the side for 0. Angel under fire, recognizing that there was a gank opportunity happening. Scout flashing forward, immediately responded by Angel's own.
I can tell that Raafaa's blood pressure immediately spikes seeing that play, because he's like, why are we going for the W? Just press Q. It's point and click. There's no way for him to dodge that one.
Lead with Q, guys, please.
I know. Well, it is just the flash from both of our mid laners. It is also going to be the teleport coming in from Scout, so he'll be able to get access to this mid wave a little bit faster, and still has Tibbers. Let's see if JDG go for a play on the bottom side of the map. It's going to be 2 camps before Shun is level 6, and that should open up a lot of opportunities for this blue side team.
With both mid laners down a flash, it means that both junglers are now looking at that mid lane even more voraciously, as either could be susceptible to a strong gank. Parukia setting up a big engage onto Xiaoxu, but this is a level 6 Cassante. I don't know if you want to go all out. He's going to go all out versus you now. Parukia's in trouble, just gets burned down in the 1v2, and Xiaoxu's continuing the trade onto On, but here comes Xiaohao to turn the tides of battle and puts an end to him with the wind becomes lightning. But now Shun and Scout are on the collapse, looking for On's life here, but the collapse from Angel with the Weaver's Wall now finds Scout. Remember, he has no flash available, gets the phase rush for the movement speed, but he gets tagged, but the wind becomes lightning, and On flashes forward to secure the feats of warfare.
I don't think it matters that Xiaoxu ends up getting that kill on the Parukia. You gave over a kill to On. You missed out on a wave and a half now on bottom side. ZDZ can push this if he wants to. He's going to be dragging over to EDG. I do not understand what is going on right now with JDG, and especially the uncharacteristic performance of Xiaoxu so far in tonight's games. Like, we came in very excited for the top laner of JDG. He's been able to take solo kills and find plays against the best in the league. Against Bin in particular, I can see the idea behind this trade, but Raafaa, this is multiple stacks of the plasma that you're giving over to a Kaisa early, and you just all outed. So you've lost all your resistances here in this trade.
Xiaoxu just must have thought that he had reinforcements coming faster than EDG did, but because Xiaohao arrives first and then Angel has the Weaver's Wall, they punish JDG. Shun, recognizing that this play is no longer good for them, unfortunately has to sacrifice Scout to the win because he lost his flash from the first play.
Exactly. This is overforce here from JDG. I think it's a great response, obviously. We were talking, you mentioned it yourself, that Xiaoxu doesn't know that Xiaohao is going to be in that area, thinks that his team is going to be there first, and ends up getting punished. Thankfully, JDG will at least get one of these early objectives. It was a dragging over to Edward Gaming, while they themselves on JDG's side, they get themselves the grubs, which I think it is much better for them to get it, as their opponents don't necessarily hit turrets as well, but I think side lane control should be a lot easier for EDG as the game goes on.
Yep. And for JDG, it is at least a way to brute force these towers whenever they are able to find those skirmish advantages and have numbers on the map briefly during those death timers. It is 3 grubs that are awarded to JDG, no contest coming in from EDG. It's only a small gold advantage so far in mostly the pockets of Xiaohao and Zhao. So he's going to get that Thunder Sky online pretty quickly. So far, Shun is opting in for what it looks like the Eclipse, although that pickaxe could turn into a Brutalizer. We'll find out soon.
Let's see it. Are we doing it? There's a lot of options, a lot of flexibility here. I think Qiyana's, as much as I've hated having more assassins in the jungle, I think the play style that she introduces with her elements and being able to go invisible does make team fights, I think, more interesting, and junglers have to think a little bit more about what and how they enter into fights and what they're accomplishing. So
the ultimate is super cool too. So
yeah, Shun's gonna recall. Let's see what he's picking up. Profane Hydra just completed. That's a huge spike at 950. So can we use it as JDG? What else can we look for? There's no objectives to play for, so I think the goal that we're looking for now is, what is a summoner spell that we can try to abuse? Maybe we can get Angel to take a bad reset and have to teleport early before the dragon in 2 minutes.
That's been a characteristic of some of the best teams here in the LPL when they are conscious about what objectives are coming up and trying to force key cooldowns, summoner spells, before those objectives come up, when you have a little bit more, at least shorter uptime on trading your ultimate for a summoner spell. Doesn't look like JDG have the makings for it yet here, and both mid laners now have flash available, but just with that, Peyz
Nice. They're gonna get mid. Oh, Zhuo showed.
Zhuo gets spotted, so Angel now knows that there is a play collapsing onto him unless he's not able to react in time. The calling comes out, but Angel should be able to flash away from Peyz. And it's Lucian flash down, still with a cleanse, but now maybe EDG could look at Peyz in the next fight as a target.
Yeah, Angel has no flash, and this is the time we were talking about. Get him to teleport here. He's going to look for a teleport timer in mid once Parukia shows. He could not use his ultimate because he was in combat. I think this was fine. Peyz does still need to reset, and there's still a lot of time here for JDG to really put themselves in a good spot around this bottom side with Dragon spawning in a minute and a half. They need to take their timers, and Shun just needs to be able to escape. Let's get our mid laner, at least this top side wave, EDG really trying to force.
Thankfully for JDG, they have a control ward spotting both Angel and Xiaohao on that pixel brush, so there is no chance for them to collapse and force something onto Scout's Annie here. Shun is going to back him up on the push. Maybe they can find a stun play onto Angel. They know that he doesn't have flash. Scout does. He can instantly look for a flash tibbers or a flash stun. He's looking for the speed up into the supreme display of talent, and Angel is thrown into the wall and taken out of the fight. Now Parukia is now looking for the re-engage. There's no flash on Scout. Shun can find a way to escape, but I think Scout is going to be sacrificed for the greater cause of Shun's Qiyana here. On, now gifted another kill in this game, thanks to Scout being dropped.
But we get into this next fight, Raafaa, and it's going to be in 30 seconds around the dragon. That is gold here for EDG. They're going to get Kai'Sa another top lane wave, and then he has to reset. There will be missing massive ultimates going into this fight, and Scout still has teleport in 15. So depends on how JDG want to play this. Are they going to say, okay, let's take our timer, maybe we get a little bit more gold on an opposite side of the map. Maybe Scout tries to find a recall timer where he can finish what is looking to be a malignance here, because now you look at this from EDG's perspective. No Weaver's Wall, no Killer Instinct, no Unbreakable Will. I think it's a tough ask here, and JDG still have a lot of ways that they can blow up and find their opponents.
Yeah, I think JDG have done enough to deter EDG from contesting the second dragon, at least on this timer right now.
All right, free kill pod.
DDZ does have flash. Doesn't look like Xiaoxu can close the distance here, so the Karak is safe for now. EDG are just giving over the dragon if JDG want to take it, but they've dropped it. So yeah, the second dragon is not being rushed here, and that's just more time for both teams to farm up here.
Shun was pinging like he wanted to try to look for something on the bottom lane, but I think ZDZ, especially because he still has teleport and he has his ultimate, probably a bit of a tougher target to go for. Just cycle our camps. This is what we're talking about, the discipline from the jungle position on this Qiyana. ticking time bomb is what JDG are on right now. They need to make sure that they're staying ahead of the item curve, that they're keeping their advantages in the places that they have them. And now, after taking the red buff, what does JDG prioritize? Seems like Scout right now, he wants to stop Angel from moving. He has no teleport and no Weaver's Wall. So, should just keep this as a 4v4 right now. And the ultimates are starting to come back up here for EDG.
Peyz used the culling to try and chunk out on, but he's healed up for the most part. Parukia absorbing as much damage as he can, still has the Unbreakable Will. They go in, flash, 3-man pulverized by Parukia, sets up on to pick up Peyz, who didn't have flash for the fight prior, and on sends it with a Killer Instinct, looking for Xiaoxu on the bottom side. EDG wiped the floor with JDG.
And Peyz has no flash from that mid lane play. A massive punish from the rookie of the split, Parukia, coming up huge. We talked about this guy. What other pro player has been introduced to his org just 30 days before he starts in Tier 1 and is now looking to take down potential giants here in the lower bracket? EDG now, they grab that play, they get the dragon, and they're going to get themselves the turret. This is going to be feats of strength now completed at 14.5 minutes, and it comes off the back of really incredible, amazing support play from Parukia. I mean, this fight is already kind of split. There's getting a lot of great damage, but Peyz, Xun, and Xiaoxu all stacking on top of each other, and there's absolutely nothing that they can do. It is just free 2 kills going over, and a massive punishment now.
Just incredible visionary playmaking from Parukia, recognizing the moment and being fearless in his decisiveness to go forward and make the engaged play. As you said, this is a guy that is less than 30 days, gets sent up to Tier 1 play, and could be making the difference here for EDG on the road to Worlds for the first time in many years.
It's going to be EDG with no contest around this Herald. JDG are going to try to blitz this mid lane Tier 1. They've got 3 grubs. See if they can make it happen. There's also Xiaoxu on the bottom side of the map. I think this is a worthwhile trade here for JDG. Getting gold into their back pockets, keeping themselves even in this game. They are down 2,000. And they need to be able to battle for every piece of land here in the mid-wave. Let's see if Xiaoxu can maybe get himself into a strong enough spot on this Cassante. That all-out can be a huge difference maker if we talk about fights later on. Oh my god, Peyz!
Even though Peyz does get caught out in that bottom river fight, he has his flash again, and he still has a lot of damage under his belt.
Look at the CS difference again! Peyz is literally Chovy farming. He may have left the region, but he's still got that brother on him. Like, that is a huge difference here. Yes, On is 4-0-2, but he's only up 800 gold, and he is still down. Angel's going to use the Weaver's Wall to get back in mid. That ultimate will be up and available for these next couple fights. And Raafaa, 3 minutes now. I mean, you look at the timer, 16:30. We're going to have Dragon spawning in 2. 45 seconds after that, that is going to be an Otacon. So I think when we have a fight on the bottom side of the map, whoever loses that fight is going to be in prime position to take the Otacon. So could be a spot where EDG look to try to force. It'll put them on soul point if they grab it.
This is now the timer to try and find something opportunistic for JDG. They get the stun down onto ZDZ, who already popped the dominance, but the supreme display of talent and the stun from Scout means that there is no room for escape on the top laner of EDG.
Oh, EDG now. What else can they grab? Because they're trying to go for this mid lane wave. The Redemption's going to heal that minion to full. Let's look at top side. Thank you to our observers. Angel's going to grab this. This is going to be now the Herald spawned in mid. EDG, they want to use this time before the Dragon. Let's get some gold into our back pockets. And more specifically, let's set the map up so that when this Dragon spawns, thank you, Parukia, making it look at least to have a little bit of fun. Joel's going to use the ultimate to kind of push their opponents back. There's a lot of gold. EDG need to now spend this coming in.
You can see the mind games there. Parukia was trying to see if he could drift into a knockup onto either Peyz or Joel, at least burn a summoner spell, but Joel and Peyz were quick with the fancy feet, not getting subjected to an unnecessary summoner spell burn there. They do lose out on the tier 1 turret. That does open up the map for EDG. And as you called out, we're coming up on the 3rd dragon of the game in just a minute.
2-item Kaisa, 2-item Talia. this is that part of the game that I am the most worried here for JDG. We have had moments where Peyz is seeming like he's doing a lot of damage, where Shun is in a strong spot. He has Profane Hydra and Axiom Arc. This has to be the pinnacle, the apex at which JDG tried to get an advantage back into this game.
Nice seismic shot set up by Parukia and Angel. Decent damage on the Dwo's health bar. He's below 50% HP now. But the dragon isn't spawning for another 30 seconds, so there might be enough time for Dwo to at least recall and spawn back on the map. Maybe he might be able to swap over to teleport and get back to the map quicker.
I don't think so. He has Ignite right now. You have to change over his flash. I don't think he has a shard for it. He's going to walk it out of base on hits level 11 here. They're going to push on mid and then fade in the bottom side river, but they have no vision here. Scout is sitting there. Shun is waiting. Peyz is going to now reconnect into mid lane, and EDG are getting buffeted out of the bottom side of the map.
Look at JDG's control ward coverage here. Parukia forced to use the Unbreakable Will. That's a big ultimate being expended by EDG support.
They're not going to play for this. ZDZ is now going to continue to push down on the top side. Peyz
don't get
gets
caught out.
Angel's flash. Okay, mid turret's going to fall here in favor of JDG.
Weaver's wall will try to cut off the minion wave, but I think the turret is still going down on. Barely dodges out on the third Nintofo strike from Xiaoxu, but JDG get what they came for. Secure the tier 1 turret in the mid lane and are now forced to at least secure the third dragon, while ZDZ has secured the top tier 2 turret, might be pushing for more.
He's going to get another wave. Parukia and Angel reset, so they're going to catch their waves that they get pushed out afterwards. Otacon spawns now.
Are they
need to get it in. Look at where everybody... Xiaohao is going to recall here. He actually finishes it. This is a huge mistake. JDG just now gets this for free.
Oh, man. That's a big mistake coming out from EDG. They thought that they were going to be content with just the dragon take, but JDG are forcing the trigger here. Here comes the teleport from ZDZ, able to show up. They get vision, 2k HP on the Otacon. Shun secures it and throws out the supreme display of talent to buy some time, as Xiaoxu is willing to give his life, but he finds the all-out on the Xiaohao, brings him into the waiting arms of his squad. EDG trying to fight this one out, but they lose out their jungler. On is forced to use the killer instinct to escape, flashing away from Xiaoxu's grasp. Angel buys some time with the seismic shot, but the rest of JDG, they want more. They're thirsting for blood. They want to hunt down the remaining members of EDG, but they won't get any more.
3 members and multiple flashes. EDG take a bad timer, and JDG completely pounce on their unsuspecting opponents. Equal up the gold, now get themselves the Otacon, which now accentuates that experience differential, especially between our 2 AD carries here. It is impossible for them to fight. Training summoner spells is nice, but there's no objective to play for in the next 3 minutes, so all in all, it is an outright win here for JDG, and one that is sorely needed after what has happened in basically the last game and a half.
When you think about it, Alk, it's interesting how JDG had the advantage early game in game 1, then the throw comes at the Otacon and EDG gain momentum afterwards. Here in game 2, EDG have
all right, we get it. Otacon is a terrible objective. We get it. Otacon's a bad objective. Everybody keeps talking about it. I'm moving different, okay? I don't want to join the pack. I promise. I'm a free thinker. Otacon won't control me.
Well, it did control JDG last time, but they're able to secure it without EDG properly responding. And now, the gold lead is still even, but the experience gained from those Blood Roses might be the difference maker for JDG, as they are able to now control the pace of the game here at the 22-minute mark.
Look at Shun right now, man. Like, this guy's about to hit 3 levels. He's taking another jungle camp. He has bottom side camps, although I see some pings right now. Peyz may want some action on that. He's like, hey, maybe can I get this? Shun's like, please. If I get level 16 somehow between now and the start of Dragon/Baron, the game is just over. So, continuing to track our junglers, we came into this game in this draft saying that we needed to see Shun and Scout step up. And while that hasn't necessarily been the case, at least as clear-cut as we would have wanted, I think we are getting much better performances this time around coming in for JDG's top side.
Yeah, just to show how huge the Otacon was, it's a 2-3 level difference in the jungle. Not even looking at the other roles. This is a level 15 Kiana, and Xiaohao is on welfare stamps with a level 12 Xin Zhao. This is one of those games where I sympathize being in Xiaohao's position, picking the meta jungler trying to play for the team, and then I look at the enemy team picking the fun carry jungler, and now I'm like, well, guys, I tried to tell you this is what can happen. Shun has taken all my camps. I can't get any experience. I can't get any levels. This guy's about to hit 3 items. I haven't even hit my second.
I don't think you would sound like that in the call. It would just be...
No, I would be more upset.
And then all you'd hear in response is jungle diff. So maybe you shouldn't have gotten capped. I mean, maybe you should just not lose all your camps. Exactly. You got dragon spawning now in a minute. Baron on that same timer, and I want to pull up the mini map right now because you look at what's happening here. Look at these wards. There's absolutely no coverage here. Parukia gets chunked out again. And there's flanks here, there's flanks here, there's flanks here. Absolutely no coverage going into the river here for EDG. So they're going to lose out on their dragon and might have to stall this game out even longer, which we were questioning about whether or not JDG could actually last in a longer game. But as long as Shun doesn't get shut down, I feel like they're feeling pretty strong about their stance in this game too.
While he won't hit level 16 in time before the spawn of this
if he gets a kill,
or 4th dragon, if he gets a kill, that is a level 16 Kiana. That is a max rank supreme display of talent. Max cooldown for max uptime, already paired with the Axiom Art. This is going to be Shun at his peak strength in this game, and having it so ahead of the curve is such a terror for EDG to deal with. I can't see a world where they actually contest for this dragon unless JDG completely fumbled the bag.
Scout's going to have to teleport in. You can see that Shun right now is making his way through the bottom side. They're going to try to fight their way from this side because they don't have access through this mid lane wave. Scout cancels his recall, and he's just going to hoof it on over to this play. He's going to be JDG starting it up, moving backwards. ZDZ also not showing quite yet. So it's a 4-on-4 right now. Here we go.
Beaver's wall. EDG have to burn the dragon down and look for the flip here. 2,000 HP. Xiaohao secures it! It was an early spike from Shun. I saw 400 HP. Xiaoxu is almost dropped, but on secures it with the killer instinct. They're going into the backline. Supreme display of talent at least finds one on Parukia, but CDC is still continuing the chase forward. Joel trying to take up all the damage. Xiaohao goes back in one last time before he gets dropped by Peyz. Now he flashes forward. He's looking to turn on the heat. He's trying to gun him down. Peyz looking for another dash with a relentless pursuit. It's Scout flashing forward to set up Peyz for success. He dashes away from CDC's grab. He finds a triple, and it's Scout that cleans it up. JDG pull off the ace against EDG.
And Peyz is gliding in that fight. It is a smite that goes over to EDG. Can they do the Baron from this point on? Scout doesn't have Tibbers, but it's going to be a teleport here from Zhuo. They're going to take this with multiple members, and by the time they finish this, all 5 of JDG will be rocking a Baron. A close fight there from EDG. Keeps them at least somewhat competitive in this game, and one step closer to a soul, but JDG have shown that they're a little bit sloppy around some of these objectives. I don't know if I trust them here in this game number 2.
Parukia had swapped one of his summoner spells to Smite because JDG don't have Shun up on the field. Unfortunately for him, Xiaoxu is enough of a body blocker that he prevents Parukia from ever getting in range. It is JDG that secure the Baron here in game 2.
So I want to look at this fight again. Great block here from Zhuo to get the Weaver's Wall away. The redemption was used very early there from Parukia. I mean, we take a look back at this fight. We get right in the backline, we're killing Xiaoxu, and then this backline here, look at what the redemption does. Xiaohao thought he found the kill onto the enemy backline, that he was going to be able to get Zhuo, but completely heals, blocks all of the damage, and obviously that Winter Sprite with this combo with Lucian, if you can play in the mid game, is very potent. It doesn't matter if it's the first 5 minutes or the next 30 afterwards. If they can get this procced, it is a massive amount of damage. Peyz even dashes over Unraveled Earth and has to use his cleanse, so you can see that JDG, they feel hungry and they know that every single inch in this game they're going to have to fight for.
That 3-man squad in JDG believed wholeheartedly in Peyz's Lucian to carry through the fight, willing to just commit everything forward. Such a big swing that JDG needed to now guarantee the advantage and the momentum for themselves. Baron buff on their side. Even though EDG are one step closer to Ocean Soul with the steal, I don't know if they're going to have enough time to actually find it here in game 2.
JDG thankfully don't have a lot of range, so their ability to hit turrets is a bit more limited, and I like that we're seeing this from Angel. Just use the flip to get the empowered cannon minions underneath the turret. It gives you a little bit more safety to actually hit those minions, so you're not walking into JDG. You're not walking specifically into Scout. That ward that is right across the wall is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Still gonna maybe be this turret, but EDG are making them sweat for it. Xiaoxu is in the mid lane, but he's not gonna be able to get pushed very easily versus this Renekton. So this might just be JDG wasting a lot of their Baron timer so that they can put a lot of vision and get investments down into this jungle, because we have Dragon spawning in a minute and a half yet again.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought JDG were gonna get a lot more with this Baron power play, but they have barely been able to breach the tier 2 on the bottom side of the map. Here comes another minion wave. They finally are able to undermine it here. But at the end of the day, a 2,000 gold advantage. I don't know if it's going to be the absolute game breaker here for JDG. There's a lot of confidence now riding on this team off the back of those two fights. But EDG, still one dragon away from Ocean Soul, and it's coming up in just a minute.
Only difference that I'm kind of seeing right now, Peyz now having a Maw of Malmortius completed, so more shielding against that Kaisa and the Talia. I was wondering if Parukia would be able to find a recall timer here, because there's an item discrepancy between our two supports. I think having Redemption and Locket makes it very difficult for EDG to punch through that front line. And I think Edge of Night also being pretty impactful here for Sun. There's going to be Cleanse and Flash available for Peyz. So if EDG can find this win, it's going to have to be off of this fight now. No item completed there for Parukia after the teleport. They're going to have to battle through. There's no vision. I love this vision toggle coming in from our observers.
Looks like EDG are posturing for this fight. I know that it would mean securing Ocean Soul if they get it away from JDG. We'll have to see if JDG are able to punish, as Shun is lying in wait on top of a control ward, reveals himself with the Grass Elemental Wrath. Xiaohao maintaining his position in the Tri-Bush. Parukia looks for Xiaoxu. He's able to get away from the Unraveled Earth, but loses 50% of his HP. He will be forced to teleport back. They stop the recall.
They could look for a flank. He's gonna okay, so he's gonna go for it. Oh my god!
Stopping the recall again.
Punished. Scout, you gotta block these with either your body or the E. Dragon is getting pulled around. They have no wards on the top side of this map, and EDG converses with a Kaisa.
Weaver's wall.
Oh my god, Angel!
Oh, Angel went too deep into the JDG's backline. 4,000 HP. Xiao gonna get it, but it shoots, secures it, throws out the supreme display of talent. On gets caught, throws it into the backline with the killer instinct, but is popped by Scout's Annie. Xiaoxu's gonna chase Xiaohao, and the rest of EDG are forced to scramble. Parukia, the other member left standing, and it could just be enough for JDG to close out game 2.
Dro just absolutely smurfed that fight, and it was with one basic ability, the Unbreakable, breaking the Talia wall and forcing him onto an opposite side of the fight. That is a massive win, and JDG, off of the jaws of defeat, find a victory here.
It was getting dangerously close. Parukia flashing forward, trying to be the Hail Mary for EDG so that they don't lose this second game, but Xiaohao might just not be enough here in a 1v4. Angel has respawned. One more Nexus turret stands between JDG and evening up the series. Peyz dashes forward, forces Angel to flash. Peyz goes forward with his own flash, on trying to step up and be the Hail Mary necessary for EDG. CDC, are they holding the line? He goes golden. Just a couple more piercing lights and the auto attack from Peyz as he dashes forward with a relentless pursuit. Angel's forced back into the fountain. They're getting dropped super low. Peyz, stop!
No, Peyz!
Scout is too low on HP. They can't end the game.
Look at Peyz. I'm looking at Peyz in the player cams right now. He's like, you know, I'm having a little bit too much fun. They got close to ending the game, and we got more game 2 action. We cannot end here quite yet, Raafaa.
Holy camole, JDG! Just end the game.
Nope. We gotta squeeze. We gotta squeeze for a little bit more here. So we've got Baron spawning in 5. Raafaa summoner spells now missing here for JDG. No flash or cleanse for Peyz, for Scout, or for Xiaoxu.
There's still another 3 minutes before another Ocean Dragon spawns. But Alk, if that Fountain Death is what gives EDG the window necessary to come back in this game,
just make it a 3-0.
I I don't know how JDG mentally recover. I know there are some hardened veterans on this roster, but that is such a devastating blow if that is the event that occurs after that play. JDG are still in control. They still have a 6,000 gold advantage.
It's going to be tough. It'll be a tough look and one that they're going to have to bounce back from. Peyz is still super far ahead, and we've talked about it that Shun has had a massive impact in these fights. He's looking to try to finish one more item. This is a huge flank coming in from JDG.
He reveals himself with the Grass Elemental Raptors poking. EDG members off. Doesn't throw out any crucial spells yet here. JDG maintaining their position, ensuring that EDG cannot step up to check vision for the Baron Pit.
Shun is going to get his Edge of Night procced, maybe steal away a Krug. You can see that EDG are trying to poke and prod away at JDG's front line. Getting some AP now.
Parukia? He's going to look for Shun!
Parukia!
He finds it with a knockup. Ellen tries to look for the Killer Instinct, but not enough damage onto Shun's Kion, and now Xiaoxu is the one going forward. Weaver's Wall splits up JDG members here, but another great Unbreakable from Zhuo's Braum stops the Weaver's Wall in its tracks.
That was 3 ultimates used by EDG, and they got nothing from this play. No ultimates, no summoner spells. Zhuo's even going to swap over to Smite here. He will not have this for the Dragon, but EDG can have no say over this topside objective. It's going to be the Baron Nashor going over to JD Gaming.
A little bit of craziness from JDG as they tried to look for the base end just a few minutes ago. And while the game could have ended and now has been stalled out, JDG once again have the tools necessary to close out this game 2 and even up the series.
We just needed to play another 5 minutes. I just wanted 5 more minutes of stage time, is what Peyz was saying.
Man.
So, that's it. That's the state we're in. And if EDG win this, imagine they win the Smite fight. Shun has not been as on point here in this game number 2. That's Ocean Soul committed for them. And while I think some of the items may not be going their way, an Ocean Soul is one hell of a combat buff to have.
That's why it could be the breaking point for EDG to swing back despite a massive gold difference. The experience difference in a couple of roles are still very, very noticeable here and impacting the state of this game. But the longer the game goes on, level 18s have already been hit by multiple JDG members. Soon EDG will have a chance to catch up, so JDG have to close this game out sooner than later.
We're gonna get a 7th dragon of the game. Everybody in chat, let's take a vote now. Do we think we're gonna see a 7th dragon here in this game? Me personally, I don't think so. But if we do, then we're in for a hell of a treat here, Raafaa. I think if EDG can win this game, suddenly they're in a massive momentum building of 2 games in a row, but JDG have been poised all game long. Minor mistakes here and there have led them to, stall this a little bit more out, but I really do believe that Peyz can clean up these fights, can absolutely run amok here.
Big thing, his last item completed is the Mercurial Scimitar. So between cleanse and now that last item, he has 2 ways to cleanse an incoming stun or CC from EDG. Gives Peyz more room to play forward and aggressive and try and bait out key cooldowns from the side of EDG here.
Yeah, 75% crit chance, no Infinity Edge either, so really just trying to stay alive for the most part. Also, the magic resist that you get from these Merc Sims means that his opponents are going to do just a little bit less damage. It'll be the mid inhibitor falling, it'll be the bottom lane inhibitor falling as well. And this all sets up perfectly. JDG utilizing this Baron. Can they find the push here?
Scout flash forward, finds the Timbers 2-man stun on the front line. Scout is the first one to drop. Angel and On still trying to rip through this fight. CDC is traded on using the Killer Instinct to try and reposition against JDG. They still have Baron and Power minions on their side. Cannon still pounding away at the turrets.
Oh my god!
With the knockup. Seismic shoving to Xiaoxu. They lose it on the top lane. Peyz has got to be careful now. Weaver's Wall right on top. Zhuo is separated from JDG. Doesn't look like they get pounced just yet. He throws out the Unbreakable, but EDG hold the line here at 37 minutes.
Are they about to have 3 Nexus turrets respawn? Because they lost those first 2, they respawned. Now they get a 3rd one to respawn with this bottom lane Nexus turret. What the hell is this game, Raafaa? Why are EDG holding on, and why can't JDG just finish this one out and close cleanly?
The power of EDG is starting to surge here. And there is a fear in the back of every JDG's fan's mind. Was Peyz dying at the fountain? Is it going to cost them? Because EDG are looking unbreakable here in their own base.
I mean, this redemption just gets so much value, but Scout not being able to grab anybody in that trade. ZDZ ends up falling. On plays this fight really, really well, but imagine if he wasn't so far behind his enemy counterpart. Parukia, 2 separate engages, saves the game. The rookie of the split is coming up huge. Now we're getting right back into live. We've got 1.5 minutes before Baron, 2 minutes before Dragon, and this is the last Dragon. No more soul points, no more extra gimmies. 3 Ocean Dragons to JDG, 3 different dragons here for Edward Gaming. Are we going to get a soul point, or are we going to look for JDG to finally put this game to bed?
Inhibitors open in mid and bot lane. One
Peyz's
Nexus
items.
turret stands between EDG and JDG. Peyz is full damage. No boots anymore. He needs the full arsenal to try and break EDG's defense. The last stand might just be now. Parukia goes in. Peyz is able to dodge it with a relentless pursuit. Xiaohao knocks up Shun. Stalls him for now. Parukia losing all of his health. The Alistar is gone. And the rest of EDG are now down to 4. JDG still stand as 5. Looking for that last Nexus turret. CDC pops the dominance, but JDG are going to be patient and wait out the ultimate to burn down. On is almost down to 50% HP.
Nice.
Angel will throw out the Weaver's Wall. Stall for time. On heals back up nearly to full. Big knock up onto ZDZ as he gets caught. Xiaohao goes in, looks for the backline, pops the Crescent Guard. ZDZ on, trying to find the killer instinct. JDG throwing everything they can to block the damage from On's Kaisa as they pop Dwo in the backline. Peyz is under fire. He's forced back. On is flashing backwards as Xiaoxu finds ZDZ with the all out. But JDG, can they break them? Peyz able to find Angel now, but the Nexus turret still stands, and there's still 3 members from EDG to hold the line.
Okay, the Nexus is about to respawn in 20 seconds!
Knock up from Xiaoxu! On
It's not enough!
No way, Peyz! It's just Peyz and Scout! It's just Peyz and Scout! Parukia's back! On! Can he
Nexus
be
is
the
about to
hero?
respawn.
Can Parukia find the knock-up? It's on the 2, but he gets popped. Scout just needs one more stun. Peyz, they lunge forward! Hit the
Wait, it's gonna
Nexus! JDG finally win game 2!
Can JDG not do this to me? Please! Like, there is no reason for us to play such a close game for absolutely 0. We're really trying to stretch this one out. We are teasing our opponents, giving them avenues back in. I don't know if JDG are just trying to see like how far away they can get away with, you know, some hands checks here, but very, very sloppy game. A refusal to win from JDG and almost an outright refusal to lose coming in from Edward Gaming.
I swear, these 2 teams are going to be the death of my voice tonight, Alk. My goodness. Really trying to push the limits here on Summoner's Rift. Credit to EDG for holding out as long as they could. And it just puts into perspective a world where EDG don't miss out on the Otacon and give that massive experience advantage over to JDG, considering how well they stalled the game out.
There was so many different angles. From looking at it from JDG's perspective, the solo lanes need to, I don't know what they need to do, maybe do some woosaw afterwards, you know, just sit there and really meditate, because we are getting, I think, some of the worst games we've gotten from Xiaoxu in a bit. I don't think there was many angles for him to play a lot of these fights as the Cassante later on, but they are not putting pressure onto the AD carry of EDG. And for their opponents, imagine if On wasn't falling behind in the early game. If he wasn't in the mid game down 20, 30 CS versus his counterpart. I think that EDG could very handily have taken these games if their AD carry was in better spots.
All that aside, Alk, I just can't get over the reactions from JDG as they finally close out the game. Peyz just giggling his way to the back room, while us here on the broadcast are just dying out of anxiety, trying to see what was going to be the outcome of that game. And it just seemed like if JDG are in that kind of mindset, maybe it's for the better to try and push EDG to the brink, because I didn't get a chance to see what were the reactions from EDG's lineup after the game.
EDG probably not too happy about that game, especially with how close it was. Can I take the MVP away from JDG? Even if it does go to Peyz, I think Peyz played a large portion of this game fine. Like, he is the only reason, by the way, that they are even in some of these positions. Here are some of the post-game graphics. There we go. That's the difference in the AD carry position. And we've seen it now 2 games in a row. I can't imagine we won't see it for the rest of this series. If JDG are going to win any of these games, Raafaa, it is going to come from the bottom lane.
Even though that they weren't able to find advantages in the laning phase early on, Peyz still proving to be one of the best AD carries we have here in the LPL when he's able to play at the highest level. And while on, found decent moments for himself. It seems like the challenge is too tall for him to stand up to alone. He really has to rely on the rest of EDG to rally behind him and give him the space necessary to match against Peyz's absolute dominance.
Peyz is playing with a lot of respect on waves. He knows when and where he can get farm. Obviously, his team is also doing a really good job of giving him a lot of gold here. That is not the same here for On. A late cleanse in this fight we just saw in this replay. I think the mechanics for On are just not quite there. Peyz is really showing up his counterpart, and the experience between these two guys is just night and day difference. Obviously, On playing for a lot longer, at least on tier 1, but Peyz already having a lot higher of a threshold, and I think international experience is really playing a key there. On has never left the region, right? He's never played in an international. He's never gone past playoffs. Peyz got to do that in his very first year, second year as well, over on Gen G, so I think the quality of how and where these two players have played in years prior is showing itself as a massive difference maker.
I'm so mad. JDG, like...
Yeah, we got to cast another 10 minutes there.
I'm glad for them that they were able to finally close out the game, but man, it did not feel like it had to be this difficult. Maybe EDG were just that too hard to break through, and it definitely looked difficult, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, this is why I'm up here talking. I'm not playing on Summoner's Rift in these high-stakes scenarios.
All I know is if we're going to continue the, like, Raafaa POV, if I, as Lucian, don't end the game there and we have to play another 10 minutes, Mark is in call, like, holding back tears, like, why, like, I have to try and outsmite this guy now. I have to potentially be the reason we lose a game because my AD carry is diving under the Nexus fountain. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing, bro? I would have gotten it. You know, we would have been playing for another 8 minutes there for no reason. But JDG are able to close out. I think very important for them in this series, not just to find their first win here, but to not have to potentially have to now reverse sweep going into the rest of this one.
Yep. It shifts the momentum of the game back to an even state. And JDG, at the very least, avoided the disaster scenario where that fountain dive did not end up costing them and putting their backs against the wall in a 0-2 deficit for the rest of the series. JDG, as you called out, MVP probably is going to go to Peyz, even though he made me want to pull my hair out and extend the game for another few minutes.
Rightfully so. I think the only person who would have maybe gotten an MVP is either Shun or Zhuo. Zhuo obviously being a little less impactful, but a lot of those unbreakables ended up turning fights, especially around picking Angel multiple times here in this series or in this game. So a great MVP for Peyz, one that we're gonna have to continue to watch as we get through the rest of this series, and maybe more games like that. So
maybe. We're definitely going the distance with this one, as now both teams are tied 1 game apiece. We'll see you on the other side as we get ready for Game 3.